WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are summer bound and feeling good about the Crab Cake Tour coming up. But I tell you what, we got a couple days of football left, and then everybody goes on vacation for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. We'll come back getting things ready for a kickoff in Las Vegas, Nevada, for all things Ravens. We got a little mini camp conversation. I don't know any bigger fan than this guy. He is Roofing by Elite. Brian Lease joins us as always. And Brian, before I get going here, man, I got to talk about your place in Roofing by Elite and what you do, and you being like a real Baltimore guy and traveling. We'll get to all that. But like your location where you do business is in the corridor, sort of like between Baltimore and Washington, a little closer to Washington. I've been having this argument all month long that like in my whole life, I have never ordered a crab cake, literally south of Glen Burnie in my life. And I'm wondering, like, I would never go to PG County or Montgomery County for a crab cake, but allegedly they have them there. Is that true? I need you to tell me.
It's a lie. Don't do it. You got the right roadmap. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I'm figuring like I just would never go to PG County or Montgomery County for a crab cake. And it's funny, like I don't even think about that like in Western Maryland or the foodie places in Frederick or whatever. I'm not really worried about getting a good crab cake at Deep Creek Lake or whatever. But something about getting a crab cake in Rockville or Lanham or at National Harbor that kind of freaks me out a little bit. That's not like the real Chesapeake to me. That's like DC.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. And DC's not known for crab cakes. So
they're known for bad football.
Right. I've lived in Montgomery County and worked in that too. And I've worked in PG County for 14 years now. And I've tried. Maybe I average 1, maybe 2 crab cakes a year just to try a new place.
So I'm asking you. I know that you get down there, and I'm wearing the Costas shirt, right? So like I'm all like, last time I had a crab cake with you was at Costas, so I know it was good. I didn't have to worry about it.
Absolutely, Costas, Jimmy Seafood.
But see, if I come down to your place and I say, hey man, let's go get lunch, you're like, I got barbecue over here, but get your burger, but your roast beef sandwich, but you don't want a crab cake anywhere. That's you're confirming what I believed. And this, look, man, I'm mapping this thing out. This is my official map. This isn't, I don't know Google, no Rand McNally around here, none of that. You know, I don't have the fold up big old thing with the relief map. This is my map right here. So as you can see, there's nothing circled in purple anywhere on the DC suburbs over here, right? So you can see.
You're good. Keep it just like you have it.
Let's get to football here. It's a week of promise, right? I mean, hopefully there's no injuries or whatever. Luke and I've talked about that. Figuring out these jersey numbers with these single-digit jersey guys, that's going to be an August thing for me. But trying to figure out who's going to play where and when and why and how. And I'm really fascinated to see, and we've argued a lot. You and I have argued for 6 months about them passing the ball. I want to see what it really looks like statistically when they try to pass the ball, because I'm not convinced they're ever going to pass the ball a lot. But this was a time here. They're pumping up the wide receiver coach and all the wide receiver guys in the room. They're sure trying to get guys like you to believe they're going to pass the ball. Fans, right?
Exactly. And just like years past, we have that hope right now. But of course, it's going to happen game one. We're going to see a little bit of what they're going to try to do. And you know what? Maybe this is the year that number one wide receiver breaks through. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. I'll keep my hopes alive.
I'm looking behind. I see a Ray Lewis jersey and I see a Lamar. I don't see any like Bateman jersey yet. I don't see you making the investment.
Well, we'll see what happens after game one. Maybe I get one for game two.
You got to get your Hollywood Brown jersey back out. And you got to change the numbers now on all these jerseys too, right?
Well, now I have both. I've got the 5 and I've got the old school, believe it or not.
So you are invested in the original number 1, right? So you're not.
That's right.
Whatever happened to that Brashad Perryman jersey? I don't know.
We'll never have one of those.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's that time of the year now where I'm trying to figure out where the star power is, who's going to rush the quarterback. Are we old? Are we young? Where's Zeitler and Villanueva? Can they pass the ball? They gave Gus Edwards a bunch of money, which is great. I think they really want to give Dobbins the ball more, which, I think in the grand scheme of things, I think he's going to be the 20 rush guy, and Lamar's going to be more the 7, 8, 9 rush guy. I think if they drew it up statistically, they'd like to see it more that way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is going to be JK's big breakout year. I thought he broke out last year, but he's going to break out even more this year. The guy's a serious talent. But again, you cannot forget about Gus Edwards. I mean, the guy's a phenomenal talent. I wrote him off in my mind. I thought he was gone after this year. I thought he was going to cash in. Apparently, he's a really humble guy and just he wants to stay here. And he's getting paid now, so he's got his guaranteed money. So I'm excited for him as well.
Yeah, for the guys that have accomplished and played in these losing efforts the last 3 years, the Brandon Williams, guys that came late to the party for the last Super Bowl, but they feel like they've been here a long time. Feels like Mark Andrews has been here a little while. It certainly feels like Ronnie Stanley's been here a little while. Feels like Marlon Humphreys, he's here, he's paid. Now it's like win a playoff game, dude. There's a lot of guys that you have won one playoff game, and this is what weighs on them this time of year when they get on a plane and come back. I saw Jimmy Smith the other day out at the Chaucer, out having a good time. He was in the room with me, and I saw Jameel McClain, who bought me a beer on Saturday in Fells Point, and I thought, man, it feels like those guys are the senior elder. It feels like Jameel's been gone a long time. They were part of the Super Bowl team. And that feels like a minute ago to those of us that marched up Poitras, right? But it was getting on 8 years ago now. So we're starting to have a whole crop of guys that haven't won enough in January, have won a whole lot in September, October, November, December, right? But that hunger that maybe if you're an old Oriole fan, you felt when 79 didn't happen, you're waiting in 83, or that hunger you felt when Flacco got us to 1, 2, 3, 4, championship games, and they're losing championship games. This feels like it's starting to get a little heavier for Harbaugh, for the Romans, for all of that there is a high level of expectation in Owings Mills, and there probably should be. They're going to win a lot of games, and they should be a playoff team again. They will be judged as to whether they're in LA next February.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, this is kind of the natural progression. So now this is the year they've got to take it to that next level. And I think they will. I'm confident they will. They have the talent. It's just a matter of everything coming together, not dropping ball, coming up with the right game plan, and making the right in-game decision. So it's all got to come together. It's all culminated to this season. I think this is the year. It's all right there for the taking.
He is roofing by Elite. He does commercial and residential roofs. Give me a little update on this. This has been a kind of a weird. We had a lot of rain, awful storms. I have a feeling after one of those hailstorms or hailstorms breaks out like it did Monday. I shared the video. I mean, hail banging my glass. I'm thinking, a lot of things are going on roofs as well. I have a feeling your phone rang, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, we're busy. My service department is certainly busy after those rains. We're also doing a lot of tear offs this time of the year. This is the best time of year to get your roof done. If you need a roof done, do it now.
Tear off is what you call that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's new.
Off. Yeah.
Been 10 years, been 20 years, been longer than you remember, right? It's time to call.
This is the time of year to do it. And, speaking of jerseys, like this time of year, what I like to do is, give a little bit of a discount, because we're in the summer months. Everybody needs money for vacations and stuff like that now that we can kind of get out. So last year we were doing 15% off, okay, with code word Hollywood. This year we're doing 20% off, same code word. 15 plus 5 is 20. So we're doing 20%.
It's not Ed Reed?
No.
Not Frank Robinson.
Sorry. I love Ed Reed, but he's not playing right now.
That's a 20.
Players.
Nobody's ever going to wear a 20.
But Hollywood Brown, 15 and 5 is 20. That's where we're arriving.
I just hope he catches 20 passes. You know what I mean?
He will.
Hey, speaking of the ball and throwing the ball around and where it would be, I keep coming back to we have these expectations on these wide receivers. There's one ball. I mean, how many passes does Bateman need to catch to be successful? I think the measurement for all of that, for passing and for what Hollywood Brown and for whatever Lamar's numbers need to be in the air, I think this time of year, when I start to talk to fans, it gets wacky again because I keep thinking, how many plays do you think they're going to run? I mean, I'm running in the real world of how many plays are they going to run, even if they're really successful. And when they're successful, they don't run a lot of plays, maybe in the third or fourth quarter with Gus Edwards or whatever. But on a good drive, they're not running 3-yard plays. They're not even a traditional offense in that way, that when they're percolating, their drives are 8 and 9 plays because they're getting 8, 9, 10, 12, 38 yards on one play. That's how they play the game. So I find it really wacky when I start to see projections on wide receivers and passing in this offense, because I don't think the league's ever seen an offense like this.
No, those numbers mean nothing to me. It's at the end of the game when the clock's at 000. That's all that matters. What's that score? And I think the same thing holds true for these guys, the players themselves. As long as we're winning, we're going to be fine. I don't think it's so much the number of passes like Bateman gets. I think what it really boils down to is, what does he do once he gets that ball? What kind of yards does he get? Like you said, to your point, we're getting 8, 9, 10, 12 yards at a clip on different plays, whether they be pass plays, but mostly running plays. So I'm not worried about numbers except for the final score. That's it.
I was watching hockey this week, and my timeline popped up, and obviously I've been all over Trotz with the Islanders and whatnot, and the timeline popped up this week because when the Caps won the Cup 4 years ago, it was this week, right? And I saw my wife had her pictures up, and she took pictures of the Vegas stadium when we were there.
Yeah.
It was literally, it was 4 posts. It was nothing. It was an empty desert with posts that had a black sign and the Raider face on it, the patch, and said "Future Home of the Las Vegas Raiders."
You almost did it.
Yeah. So you were out there. Give me a primer, because I've got flights. I'm worked up. I don't have tickets like anybody else doesn't have tickets. Everybody's seen the tickets are a lot of money and whatnot. I've invited some other friends out. The Vegas trip's going to be kind of monumental, I think, for anyone that makes it.
100%. So I was very fortunate in that I have a vendor and sales guy where his boss knows some bigwig with the Raiders, and they put together a tour for us at the new Raiders Stadium for a group of about 8 of us. And I got to
you've been in a lot of stadiums, so you're like, I want to make sure tell everybody how. Have you been to Dallas? Have you been to the new ones? You've been to Atlanta. You've been to Minneapolis.
Atlanta, all of those, every one. Okay, just about all the new stadiums I've been to, and hands down, this stadium is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. And not just stadium. I'm in construction. I do a lot of commercial work. It's the most beautiful building, period, that I've ever entered. It's amazing. The architect deserves all the credit in the world. Really does.
Well, I mean, you do roofs for a living. What makes it special? Look, man, I went to Jerry's World, and I felt like it's over the top. I sort of hate the new Yankee Stadium. I like the Mets Stadium. I mean, I've been to every baseball stadium, so I could sit here and go all day, all night about what I like or don't like about retros, or what I like about Dodger Stadium. I'm sending a dear friend of mine out to Dodger Stadium in 2 weeks with their kids for the first time, and their kids love baseball and all that. I find the football stadiums, like, I care about the game and how close I am. I found the Dallas thing to be off-putting. The LA stadium, I'm really interested in seeing what that's going to look like when I get out to LA. I am fascinated by that, and I'll get out there this year. The Vegas thing, I don't see it that way from the outside, that you've really raised my expectation in the last 3 minutes, because I just see them as sort of a dime a dozen. They're all sort of marvelous in their own way. Atlanta's sort of marvelous in its own way. But I do see Miami sucks, by the way. Like every time I've ever been in there, that place, they screwed it up when they built it in the beginning, and 35 years later and 3 remodels later, it still sucks.
Sure.
The Vegas thing, what's great about it? Like,
so it's all kind of a combination of things, obviously. But number one, it's very classy. It's not gaudy like you would think a Vegas building would be. Is very simple yet beautiful. It's elegant. It's football. It's also not overdone with like Raiders logos all over the place. They just have the right combination of everything, lighting, the color scheme, everything is just
See, I thought it
perfectly
was
done.
Scream Raiders, interestingly enough. And I guess it will on game day with the boards and stuff that, they can
Yeah.
put the Rolling Stones logo in there when the Stones are there in a Stone Stadium, right?
Yeah, they subscribe to that KISS theory and they really did that. And it just worked out perfectly. It really did. I was so impressed.
Well, they're competing with a lot, right? Like I remember going out there a couple years ago and having seen that Excalibur show that they do before the
Mhm.
hockey games. And it blew my wife away because she didn't go to game 1 or game 2 of the finals. I went out with Ed Frankovic, and literally the press box is next to it. So when the fire is going on, and like, I mean, I'm 10 feet away with my phone filming the thing. And if you're a sports fan there and you've been to the hockey games now, or you live in Vegas and you're part of the Vegas experience, whether it's the experience downtown that they built 20 years ago where the
Mhm.
sky lights up, or whether you've been in Caesars and you feel like you're in a, literally in a cloud when you're walking through the mall shopping, I wondered how they could possibly go more over the top than the hockey team did in presentation. And last year wasn't a great. I mean, I watched 3 or 4 games from an empty dome, and it
Sure.
look like Atlanta or Minneapolis, look like all the rest of the empty domes,
Yeah.
quite frankly. But I am interested in experiencing it, and I want to go out there and be a part of it. Brian Lease is here, Roofing by Elite, experience in Vegas, experience in football, experiencing offense, defense, making sure that you keep a roof above your head, whether it's commercial, residential. He'll take good care of you. You can find him at roofingbyelite.com. 20% off, not for Ed Reed, not for Frank Robinson, but somehow for Hollywood Brown, 15-5. I don't know. It's the new math we're doing here. Last things last for you here, the sports Jones that you have and I have. Sports is kind of back, right? I've talked to everybody about it this week. My wife was watching women's golf. We were watching tennis last week at the French Open, the Orioles. I'm going to a Bay Sox game, and I will not be having a crab cake in PG County before my time. But I'm going down to a Bay Sox game because the Orioles kids are there. I'm watching Trotz try to win a cup. The NBA is going on. There's plenty going on right now. It feels like, not that the plague's rear view mirror, we see enough masks and we have enough issues going on, but it does feel like we're coming out of this, man.
It sure does. And everywhere I've been, not just in the sports world, but in the regular world, it feels good to start to see a lot more of the normalcy that we've been like jonesing for. And it is coming back. We're almost there. We're almost at the finish line. Not quite, but we're almost there, and we'll get there.
I had
So
our friend from
I'm ready.
Wise Markets on this week talking about, like, if you need a vaccine, get out and get a like, if you're the last one, I'm not going to shame you, but I'm going to wag my finger at you a little bit. Go out there, get the shots, make sure we get to where we need to be so we can all have a good time and get 71,000 back into the purple crab cake and doing all that. Brian, appreciate you, man. Appreciate the sponsorship and the roofs, and keep enjoying the summer out there. Keep the roofs going, and we'll get football. We'll blink and it'll be training camp. 3
Absolutely.
games this year and some practices and whatnot. Stay healthy, all right?
You too, brother.
Brian Lease joining us here, Roofing by Elite. They do roofs and commercial, and don't forget the gutters as the rain's coming down your spout. Make sure you're keeping it clean out there. You can find me Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, anywhere the internet is traveling, including to Costas Inn, where the Crab Cake Tour is underway and continuing on. People are asking me, it's sort of like a Who tour. They're saying, hey, how long's the tour? Well, it started in 81 and it never ended. So the Crab Cake Tour will never end. But when it comes time to have a crab cake with Brian Lease, I will not be doing it in PG County. I'll be doing it at Costas or Fade. These are someplace legitimate. We're BaltimorePositive.com.